Alright guys, this is going to be a PVS-69 user guide. This right here is my personal set. Has some fancy DIY blue filters on the back. But otherwise, everything is the same. It's just an MJF unit using the 5-5 displays. So here's what you got. This is the internal battery bridge, and this cap will thread off, and inside you have like a nickel in there that's epoxied in, and then you have like a piece of copper right here that's your contact, and you have your CR123 batteries. So this takes two CR123s. These are just some rechargeable ones from Amazon. I recommend doing rechargeable because this thing will burn through a set of CR123s in a couple hours, and they get expensive, right? Batteries get expensive, and if you're running internal battery, it's probably not very long. So the time difference of the rechargeable versus the non-rechargeable, it's pretty negligible. So you can get a pack of rechargeable ones for like $12, and I'll link below to what I got, and so you guys can see that. But yeah, just go with rechargeable CR123s. Drop them in negative side down. It's very important. Don't put them in backwards, because you risk damaging your unit if you do. So you tighten your battery cap all the way down, and it should be about flat like that when it's all the way tightened down. And depending on what direction your switch is wired, it'll either be to the left or to the right. Get in light real quick so you can see. But you turn the switch on the front. I think mine is going to be to the right. Nope. To the left. Nope. Hold on. May have grabbed a dead battery. Another thing to consider is this nickel. It's not perfect, right? So sometimes it doesn't get a perfect connection on that piece of copper, and you may just have to take it off and put it back on. I'll try that real quick. Tighten it to here. Normally it stops like this, I thought. There we go. So, as you can see, the unit is now powered on, and once it's powered on, try and get this lined up, there'll be a little spot that shows the runtime. It says PVS-69, and it shows your battery voltage. So that should be the true battery voltage, reading off of both batteries in series, not parallel. But if you're not running this large profile bridge, and you're running one that looks somewhat more like this is obviously not the right one, but if it looks somewhat smaller profile like that, then you have the external battery bridge, which requires the external power. So for that one, the power port's going to be in the back, but for this set, the power port would be in the back, sorry. But for this set, it's right here on the side, and literally all you do is you have your Wilcox dovetail. This is a G24 dovetail mount, and you just latch that on like that, and you take your power cord, and this is a DC 5.5 by 2.1 millimeter jack, and that goes in there, and then this would connect to whatever your power is on the back. I don't have a battery plugged into this right now, and I have my actual battery pack out on loan, but I may have something to show you a little jerry-rigged setup of it. Alright, here I just have like a 12-volt LiPo with a female DC jack on it. And that's just soldered to an XT30 connector. That's, yeah, so it can connect to the battery and be detachable. So you just plug that in, and put the unit up. Oop, dropped it. This one does not want to seat well on the dovetail sometimes. So I gotta like rock it back and forth to get it to latch. I'm not sure why. I'm using a real Wilcox mount on this helmet, not one of the Chinese ones. It doesn't seem to want to fit the real Wilcoxes as good as it does the Chinese Wilcoxes. But in any event, you turn your switch, should power on. There we go, yep. And we're powered on and running off of the external battery. So that's basically how it works. Middle is off. One way turns on the internal battery, one way turns on the external battery. It varies by unit. I try to keep it so that this is internal and this is external. Some things to note for the safety of your units. Don't submerge them. I haven't done any submergence testing of these. They're fairly waterproof. You're fine running them in the rain, but I wouldn't submerge them. So everything on them is pretty much, yeah, it doesn't want to fit the real Wilcox well. Everything on them is pretty much sealed, right? So you have your plug here. This is IP68 rated plug, which means it should be pretty waterproof. You have the back here is sealed up with an O-ring and a collar. The fronts are sealed up with O-rings, and your battery's sealed up with an O-ring, and that's got a rubber gasket in there as well. The only thing that isn't gasketed is this back area of the bridge. However, these pockets inside here are filled with epoxy, sealing off the units from each other. But there is a leak gap that could occur here. And you know, potentially if you have an FDM printed unit, things can soak through the plastic themselves. This is MJF, which should not be permeable to water. I say should because I don't know for sure, right? I've done some testing with the MJF stuff and it seems to be waterproof. The general consensus is MJF is waterproof, but don't risk it, guys. These are expensive units. You don't want to dip it underwater just to test it, okay? So I'm sure they would survive a puddle drop or something like that, but I wouldn't go scuba diving with them. Well, there are some things to note. So you can remove these covers and have access to this cable here. And this cable can be connected to a keypad. Let me grab one of those quick. So this is just a little FPV camera keypad. They're pretty generic. It works with pretty much any FPV camera keypad. I've tried like 4 different brands on these. So the Foxier ones, the Cadix Polar ones, the Runcam ones, obviously. I'm not sure what else there even is to try. So I've tried 3 different ones on these right here, which is Night Eagle 3s. And you just connect this cord here, power on the unit, and then you can use the buttons to switch to the menus, change settings, whatever. I set these up with a generic kind of tune that works best. It's very simple and it works, is how I set these cameras up. Basically, I do a couple settings changes. I change it to PAL format. I change it to a 4:3 aspect ratio. And if you want more field of view, you're welcome to go in the settings and you can change it to 16:9, and it'll open up your field of view to 105 degrees, I believe it is, but currently these are only 75 degrees. You can go in there, you can change it to color if you want. I don't like color because it doesn't perform as well as black and white. What else is there? Basically, you can stow them to the side. Obviously, they articulate. I wouldn't fucking be cranking on these all the time just because you don't want to wear something out. There are wires that pass through there. They're pretty safe because of the epoxy, and there's a PVC jacket on the wires, so they are pretty safe. But I mean, Don't just fuck with it to fuck with it, right? Let's see, what else? Sometimes these dovetails can come loose. Sometimes they can break. That's why they're removable. This one I actually got sick of it being loose, so I just fucking put a bunch of epoxy in there because I didn't want to get a new one. This one had kind of wore out because I was just trying to hammer it into this thing basically. So this one doesn't want to fit onto this legit Wilcox. I don't know why. It's like the Wilcox spring is too tough. I don't know what the problem is, but yeah, guys, so that's basically the user guide for these things. I'm hopefully going to be coming out with some blue color filters soon. It's a little bit more relaxing on the eyes, kind of gives it a cooler feel to it, and it 100% does look like white phosphorus if you're looking through these blue filters into the 69s. So the camera might not capture it as well, but it does to your eyes 100% white phosphorus look to it, which is pretty cool. You could get different color acrylic pieces and probably put those in, but this is what I got for now. Thanks you guys for watching, checking these out, and if you have any more questions, just drop them in the comments. I'll try and answer as many as I can, and I'm gonna try and link to everything I got going on here so you can also check this stuff out.